to Off Limits. Liberal, irreverent, and really, really gay.
Well, hello. Welcome to the Off Limits Show. This is your host, Donovan. Thanks for listening. Tonight we're talking, this show is show number 14 of 365 in 2015, Uber Bitch. So I'll explain that in a minute. In the meantime, you can find out more about me at offlimitshow.com. You can also go to Spreaker.com. You can go to Facebook.com and follow us, as well as actually sign up for the Off Limits Show group page. Also on Twitter and on, of course, iHeartRadio. By the way, if you do listen to the show on iHeartRadio, be sure and go to Spreaker.com or offlimitshow.com and actually listen to the entire show there if you can. If you want to hear the entire show, meaning the unedited version of the show, the edited version is on iHeartRadio because requirements that they have. So if you want to hear the whole thing, you can go there to one of those places to hear it. Otherwise, you can listen here or wherever you want to listen to the show. I appreciate it. If you want to hear all the shows from 2015, you can go and listen to the Gay Mass shows and the Brain Purge shows, because I'm mixing them up between the Off Limits shows, the Brain Purge shows, and the Gay Mass shows to hear them all. So be sure you do that to hear all the shows. If there's a number missing, that's why in a row. But anyway, I'll eventually upload them all to iHeartRadio. Most of them are on there now. So I think I uploaded them all except yesterday's on there. So I'm pretty much caught up. So just check them out. Anyway, so tonight I'm talking about Uber Bitch. And the reason I am is because, first of all, if you've been listening to the show, you know that I was in a car accident a week ago, Thursday. And I was not at fault. I was hit. It was a U-Haul driver. And he hit me from the front, and his trailer pulled the front of my bumper off the car, and broke some lights and part of the undercarriage and some other small things. But it's still mechanically fine. It's just visually hideous right now on the front right. Anyway, so he admitted fault, and his insurance company is USAA, which is a military. You have to be part of the military or related to military personnel to actually have USAA insurance. And so that's who I've been dealing with for the claim. Now, I have full coverage insurance on my car, but if I do that, I have to pay a deductible. And since it wasn't my fault, I'm going through his insurance to put the claim on his insurance and not my own. So anyway, so dealing with them has been really difficult. They've been really difficult the whole time. And first of all, they assigned me to a claims rep after the first time I talked to them. And I've called this guy 4 times. He's never returned one of my phone calls. So every time I call, I have to talk to someone else there in the call center, whatever. And I think I've gotten the same bitch both times. And so I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I'm sure many of you have with customer service people who can just be bitches or assholes. But every time I've talked to this person, she's just been really rude and just cold and sort of just bitchy, just for no reason whatsoever. I'm very polite. I'm very, nice. And so I called today because they told me to call back later in the week to see the status of things. So I did. And they told me once I picked a place to take my car to, which I have the right in Texas and most states, you have the right to take your car anywhere you want to have it repaired. You don't have to use one of their places that they want, because when they use one of their places, they get kickbacks, and sometimes they're good places and sometimes they're not. And the one they sent me to get my inspection done for both insurance companies, my insurance company and theirs, has really bad reviews. So I wasn't about to get my car repaired there. So I researched it, and I found a place that does mostly European cars like BMWs and Mercedes and Audis and things like that. And they specialize in that, and they have extremely good reviews and for going off for like 15 years. And their Better Business Bureau record is really good. So when I'm entrusting something that I care about, like my car, to someone else, I do a lot of research about them. Pretty much when I'm patronizing any kind of thing, I talked about this the other day about doctors and stuff. So I pretty much do a lot of research to see if they have really, really bad reviews. Now, 1 or 2 reviews is one thing, bad reviews is one thing. But when you have, like 40 bad reviews all over the net, that's something to be scared of. So I didn't take it there. So I did take it this place, and they have really great reviews. So anyway, and Yelp and every place like that. So I called today, and I said, I called. She's like, "Hello, thank you for calling USAA." And I'm like, "Yeah, hi. I'm calling about my accident. Here's the claim number, and I need to get the status of things, and I need to know what to do, what the next step is. If I just take my car into the shop of my choice, and also I was told that you would give me a rental car, since it was your fault and everything. So I need to know how to do that." She says, "Well, are you the insured or are you the person who was hit?" I said, "I'm the person who was hit." She said, "Oh." She said, "Hold on, please." She put me on hold for 2 minutes. She comes back. She says, "Well, how can I help you?" I'm like, "Well, as I just said, I would like you to please tell me what the next step is in the process of getting my car repaired." And she said, the first thing is you need to go to the shop and get it inspected." I said, "Well, it's already been inspected at the shop. It's already been inspected by your shop, And she's like, "Well, you need to, wherever you're taking it to, though, since you're taking it somewhere else, you need to get them to inspect it first." I said, "So I have to have it inspected one time by one shop you send me to, and then inspected by the place I'm actually getting repaired at? Why?" She said, "That's just the way it is, sir." And so I was like, "Fine." I said, "So what's the next step?" I said, "How do I get the car repaired?" She says, "Well, have you gotten the parts done yet? The parts yet? Or does the shop have the parts yet?" That's what she asked me. I said, "I have no idea if the shop has the parts yet. That's something you'd have to ask them." "No, that's not our responsibility. That's your responsibility. You need to go and find out if they have the parts or not." I was like, "Excuse me," but I was getting really upset. And I wasn't showing it yet, but I was getting pissed off. I mean, her attitude and her tone were just really annoying. I said, "Fine." I said, she said, "Hold on." And she put me on hold. And she'd asked me earlier what shop it was. She calls the shop. She says, "Sir, you haven't even taken the car in there yet." She said, "They haven't even seen your car." He knew who I was talking about when I mentioned you, because he said you were bringing it on Monday. "But you haven't even seen the car yet." I was like, "Exactly. I told you that in the beginning. You haven't even seen the car yet. I told him in the beginning that I was bringing the car in on Monday, and I needed to know what the next step was after that. I need to know how to get the rental car, etc." "Well, we can't give you the rental car until they've inspected the car." And I go, "Well, that's what I wanted to know from the very beginning. Why didn't you just tell me that?" And from the fucking, I said, "What did I say?" I said, "Oh, that's what I wanted to know from the very beginning. Why didn't you just say that in the beginning? You have to be a fucking bitch about it." And I hung up. And so that was that. And so I just so those kinds of people annoy the fuck out of me, because there's no reason to be rude if you're not being rude to them. There's no reason to be inconsiderate. There's no reason to be disrespectful. There's no reason to do any of that if they're not being that way towards you, if the customer is not being that way toward you. But she just had a fucking stick up her ass and was a complete bitch the whole time. And at the time I talked to her before that, she was almost as bad. So it's like, what the fuck? And so I get really irritated when I have to deal with people in customer service positions like that. And I understand that people have bad days. I understand that. But that is no reason to take it out on someone just because you're having a bad day, just because you don't like your job or you don't get paid well enough, whatever. None of those things are my fault. All I'm doing is trying to get my car repaired. The car that your insured, hit with his vehicle. It's not like it's even my fault. I'm not even at fault in this. They're treating me like I'm a fucking criminal. It was horrible. So first of all, I might want to say, do not ever use USAA insurance hope you never have to file a claim with them if you're hit by somebody who has them. Good luck. And when I put this on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, I had several people who said, "Oh yeah, we had to deal with them before. They were horrible." And just pulling teeth to get them to pay and so forth. So beware of USAA. I had Geico. Geico's who I had when I got my insurance, but I actually just switched my insurance from Geico to Allstate because I bundled it with my homeowner's insurance. And so because of that, and I've had no problem with Geico at all, ever. So I don't know. They've always been really good and very friendly. And so I've never had any kind of issue with any insurance company like that. So I hate when you run into people who are just having a bad day or just bitches by nature, and they want to take it out on you. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Anyway, so that was that. And then there was a story about a married Uber driver who tried to sexually assault a male passenger, and he got in the car, and the male passenger did, and the guy, the driver, is like this 46-year-old Middle Eastern guy, not attractive at all. I mean, like really fat and ugly, just both ugly and fat, and just not at all attractive. And he's 46 years old, and then he had this 21-year-old passenger get in the back seat, or he was about to get in the back seat. He said, "No, don't go in the back seat because it's dirty. You sit up here with me in the front." And so he was sitting up there in the front with him, and as soon as he got in the passenger seat, this guy, his name is Nafasat, or what's his first name? His name is Adnan Nasafat. He, as soon as he got in the car, he grabbed the guy's crotch and put his tongue and his fingers in his mouth. And the guy said, told him to stop and to take him home and to stop. And the guy and the driver said he wasn't going to go home, and because nobody knew where he was anyway. So that's fucking scary as shit. And then he pulls over to this like out of the way place and tries to force him to give him head, perform oral sex on him, whatever. And the guy pushes him away and begs for him to take him home. He tried to jump out of the car at one point, but the car was going so quickly he couldn't without hurting himself or killing himself. So he eventually begged for him to take him home, and he did. And he got home, he called the police, and they picked him up and took him into custody. And the guy even admitted to it. The guy admitted that he did this. So, and now he's being held in lieu of $150,000 bail on charges of criminal sexual assault and unlawful restraint and kidnapping. So, I mean, I've never taken an Uber car. I think it's a cool idea, but hold on. As I understand it, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I really don't even understand the complete concept because I'm old. But I think the Uber car thing is like you're like a taxi driver, right? But you use your own car, and people like need a car in an area, and then it comes up on the phone that you're nearby, and they tell you they need an Uber car, so you can pick them up and you take them where they need to go, and they pay you. I think that's how it works, but I'm not sure. You get paid through the Uber app or something. But whatever the case is, it's pretty cool. But the thing about that is you have these strangers, people who are not vetted or anything else. Not that taxi drivers are either, I guess, but people, just random people picking you up. You have no clue who you're getting in the car with, and so it's kind of dangerous. It's dangerous for women, and it's obviously dangerous for young men too. So you never know who the fuck you're going to get in a car with. So I find it to be pretty fucking frightening that this happened at all. But it is what it is. I guess I guess there's a bunch of fucking weirdos out there. Another thing is scientists have recently as of the 23rd of last year. I already talked about this. Never mind. That's an old story. I won't talk about it again. So one more thing to mention before I go is on Saturday is the Whitney Houston biopic that Angela Bassett directed that her family's all pissed off about. Anyway, about Whitney Houston's life. It's not her entire life, but it's about when she's famous and meets Bobby Brown and their life together, whatever, right before it all goes downhill and she gets to drugs and stuff. And she kills herself. But Whitney Houston, it's so sad because, she died and she was a drug user, of course, and she was addicted to, I guess, crack, even though she said crack is whack. She was addicted to something, cocaine, crack, whatever. But they say this movie is extremely sexual because it explores their relationship, which was extremely sexual, but that they were extremely in love. And I believe that. I always thought that they were in love. And people always looked at their relationship like he was a bad influence on her. I never thought that. Because I never saw her as some Miss Goody Two Shoes. I never did. I know that was her image to like middle America, that this Miss Goody Two Shoes, who's, all pure and virginal or whatever. But the reality was she was from New Jersey. She was a homegirl. She was not, she was streetwise. She was not some virginal nymph that didn't know what the fuck she was doing, or could be taken advantage of by some streetwise thug like he was portrayed, Bobby Brown was portrayed. I always thought that, whatever she did or chose to do in terms of her drug use was her own fault. Even if he was part of the influence because he had used drugs, we don't know that he got her into drugs. And if he didn't, then, who's to blame? Her. And even if he did get her into drugs, it's still her own decision and fault.